Okay, so before we start here, I do know that the video in question that supposedly shows an Xbox Series X on fire with smoke jetting out of the top of it is indeed fake. Had to have the bombastic title because there are a lot of articles right now and other videos that have bombastic titles related to this situation. So technically you gotta fight fire with fire, I guess. But it'll be interesting to see how many people in the comments didn't even watch 10 seconds of this video before they commented down below. See how that goes. But we are going to talk about a topic that I knew was going to come up, and I had considered making a video before the release week for both of these systems. It has to do with launch day defective units, some of them apparently being faked, which is interesting, and I'll talk a bit about the one that was definitely faked. But others, sure, legitimately could have issues, and we'll talk about that here today, and if it really is that big of a deal, because we've seen this semi-recently with Nintendo's latest generation and the launch of the Switch. Guys, enjoy this video. Make sure that like button helps out a ton, and if you're new here to the Spawn Wave Plus channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. Let's go over here. This is the video in question. The Xbox Series X smoking on release date, some users report. This is from Instant Gaming, and you can see what appears to be just an obscene amount of smoke coming out of the top of the Xbox Series X. I mean, it's comical in a sense. Now, could a system do this? Probably not. I would be absolutely shocked if a system could produce this much smoke and have that kind of an effect. And I'll explain to you why. Generally, if you have a fire on the motherboard, which does happen, I've seen it. I mean, look, it's not all successes and sunshine and rainbows when it comes to repairs and trying to save something that is super far gone, especially early on in your repair career. Things happen. But there have been defects in motherboards. There are videos online of it happening where a small fire will break out, and this would have had to have been a massive fire, and generally when a short takes place on the board that could cause a fire, the system is usually shut down at that point. It doesn't usually keep functioning if there is a short, and it's pretty clear with how the smoke is coming out of the system. It's being kind of jettisoned out the top because the fan is still spinning, and it turns out this was faked by using a vape pen of some kind to put smoke down through the bottom of it and then shoot it out the top and kind of let the fan pull it all the way through. So rather than show a defective system here, what they've in turn shown us is that the Xbox Series X is very good at moving air. This is probably how they would test it in R&D. They will use different colored smoke so that you can see where the air is going and how it's traveling. Same thing you'll see with different cars where they'll check aerodynamics. This is generally a way you can track the direction and the path that air will take when going through a system. So, turns out the Series X is indeed very good at moving air. And just to be sure, there was a video that was put up on Twitter from Xbox Studio that kind of showed how they were doing this, mostly just taking vape pen and just kind of putting it down underneath of the Series X, or even just, I guess, blowing smoke into the bottom of it. All you have to do is put it in those bottom vents, and it would then kind of rise up through it, right? You can see it here, and even, I guess, if the fan isn't 100% spinning all the way, if it's like shutting down, you just hit the power button and you blow smoke underneath of it, it'll still be spinning enough to be able to pull some of that air up, or some of that smoke up through with the air, and that'll give you that effect. So yes, it does look like that is fake. Shocker. A comical amount of smoke coming out of the top of the Series X, with power supplies that are usually designed with some fail safes in mind to kind of prevent anything like that from happening. And usually, like I said, when a little fire breaks out inside of an electronic, it doesn't last very long because there's usually not like a ton of stuff inside the system that will actually burn. Now, I'm not saying electrical fires don't happen. They do, but that's like out of a movie or something. That's not usually something you would see happen with an Xbox Series X or a system brand new out of the box, specifically pushing that much smoke out of it. Now, there are some videos popping up online that I could believe more. Again, it's hard to say. For some reason, people like to use defective systems that could very well be like 0.5%, maybe less, of systems that are not working on launch day as kind of fuel in the console wars. I don't get it. It's strange to me, since every system has defective units. Maybe it's because of the red ring, and that still haunts Microsoft to this day, despite putting out just some very solid hardware. We did a full teardown here here on the main channel, showcasing the inside of the Series X. And it's a well-built system. We've seen the inside of the PS5 also appears to be a well-built system. But the reason I thought about making a video ahead of really launch of both systems is because I had seen previously that ACG was having an issue with his PS5. You can see this was posted up on November 10th, kind of going over everything that took place, and he also posted a video explaining the situation. At this time, my PS5 is 100% dead. I was having the storage rebuild issues others reported, but mine escalated to full errors and network issues / boot. Sony and I were working through troubleshooting when it died completely, so this time I'll be moving content around. And looking at his situation with the PS5, his specifically, sounds like it might be a storage issue, specifically with the controller that would be kind of managing a lot of the I/O stuff for the overall flash chips. That could have an issue and would cause rebuilds and all these other problems. People have talked about different routers even kind of making the PS5 act up a bit. And like I said, there are going to be some issues at launch for all these systems, like all of them. Remember the Switch when that dropped, and there were some Switches popping up online that had issues, and somehow that went from like a couple of them having problems to like apparently 1 out of every 2 Switch was just broken. It was Nintendo's worst built system ever. Turns out the Switch is actually a fairly well-built little tablet that you can carry around without too much issue. Now, the Joy-Cons, we can certainly have a conversation about that, because I think there are manufacturing defects outright with the Joy-Con that continue to this day. But as for the Switch itself, the tablet portion, it's perfectly fine. Now, as for all the other issues that exist, and I'm sure like the disk drive, that one keeps getting pointed out for the Series X that I do see on Twitter, a couple of those popping up. Yeah, the disk drive could be a point of failure because it has a ton of moving parts inside. It's slot loading, and there's a lot of gears and levers, all kinds of stuff that has to kind of align for the disk to be taken in, read, all of this. That is when the warranty would come into play, and you would send it off and get it fixed at that time. And unfortunately, that is something that I have seen act up before. And to be honest, outside of the fan itself kind of giving out randomly for some reason on launch day, that would be the point I would look at as a spot for failure. Basically, the message here is there will be defective units at launch. It'll be unfortunate for the people who do get them, but hopefully the warranty, which we would assume would cover that, will be quick, and getting your system back to you will be fast. ACG says that Sony is getting a PS5 back out to him very quickly, which is good because I wanted to hear his reviews on some of the different games like Demon's Souls and Spider-Man Miles Morales, and then of course the PS5 itself. So I wouldn't jump to conclusions if you see a video like the Xbox Series X billowing smoke out of the top of it at an alarming rate, so much so that I probably wouldn't be filming it. I would probably be unplugging the Series X and running it outside very quickly. But let me know what you guys think about this one down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.